हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। Hari Om, Hari Om. In this 10th chapter, Bhagwan revealed some of his vibhutis, and he told Arjuna that one who knows my vibhuti, my yoga, gains that steady wisdom. One who understands me as the very source of this creation, and one who knows that everything happens through me only. Such a person worships me constantly, totally dedicated to me, constantly meditates on me, thinks about me, discusses about me. To such a divinely intoxicated person, I give that self-knowledge, I give that knowledge of my Tattva, Ishvara Tattva. And through this knowledge, through the light of this knowledge, the darkness born from ignorance get dispelled, and the person gains freedom from all bondage. So after listening to this, Arjuna requests Bhagwan to reveal all of his vibhutis and his yoga. So beautiful request, we are seeing that. So let us chant those verses again from verse number 12. Arjuna uvacha param brahma param dhama pavitram paramam bhavan purusham shashvatam divyam adidevam ajam vibhum ahustvam rishayas sarve devarshir naradastatha asito devalo vyasah स्वयं चैव ब्रवीषि मे सर्वमेतद्ऋतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवानदानवाः स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं वेत्थत्वं पुरुषोत्तमा भूतभावनभूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण दिव्याह्यात्मविभूतयः याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान् इमांस्त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि कथं विद्यामहं योगिन् त्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन् केषु केषु च भावेषु चिन्त्योऽसि भगवन्मया विस्तरेणात्मनो योगं विभूतिं च जनार्दन भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतं भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतं. Beautiful stuti of Bhagwan and a request. Arjuna says, you are that Param Brahma, Param Dham, and supremely Pavitram, Purusham Shashvatam. About you, all the rishis, they sing your glories, they talk about you in this way. The different rishis, Devarshi, Naradji, Asitaha, Devalaha, Vyasaha, and you yourself also talk about yourself in this way. And I consider all this as true. Nobody knows you. Neither the Devtas nor the Danavas know you. You know yourself by yourself. You are the creator of this world. You are the Lord of all the beings. You are the greatest Devata. You are the master of this whole creation. You should tell me all your vibhutis. Vaktum arhasi asheshena divya yatma vibhutayah. I am interested to listen to all about all your vibhutis. By those vibhutis, you pervade this whole world and sustain this whole world and remain in this world. I want to know those vibhutis. I want to know how. Hey Yogin, O Mahayogi, I want to know how I can know you by thinking about you. What are the various vibhutis on which I can think, I can contemplate to finally realize you? Katham vidyamaham yogin tvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. Please tell me what are the various expression of yours on which I can contemplate, meditate, and finally realize you. We had seen this. Now in the 18th verse, Arjuna concludes his request. He says, Vistarena atmano yogam vibhutincha janardana. Hey Janardana, Vistarena atmano yogam vibhutincha bhuyak kathayah. That please tell me again, bhuyah, because you have already told so many times, but tell me again. Vistarena, in detail. I want to listen to your vibhutis and your yoga in detail. Vistarena, atmano yogam. Yogam means Yoga Aishwarya Shakti Vishesham, your Shakti, your Vishesh power, your special ability, your great Shakti. I want to know about you. I want to know your power. See, just like any material also, it has got its own intrinsic power and ability. For example, gold. Gold shines so beautifully. And gold has got this inbuilt nature. It can be converted into fine thread without it getting broken. The gold can be converted into fine thread like thing. And also the gold can be flattened to be made into fine sheet, absolutely thin sheet. This is the very nature of that gold. Similarly, we see the natural tendency of so many objects of this world. So what is the natural Shakti of Ishvara? That is called yoga. Aishwarya Shakti Vishesham. Bhagwan, Arjuna requests Bhagwan that please I want to know about your yoga in detail. Vistarena Atmano Yogam. And Vibhutincha Janardana, and your Vibhuti, your Vistar, your expressions. I want to know, I want to listen about all your expressions. See, again to give example, the gold is one, but the expressions of gold as various ornaments are many, are countless. See, because of this ability of the gold to shine, also because it can be converted into fine thread or a sheet, it can be twisted and turned in different ways. That gold gets easily converted into various types of ornaments. So though gold by nature is one, and that nature of gold has not changed from beginningless time, but the expressions of gold keeps on changing. If you go to any jewelry shop, you will find varieties of ornaments there. Amazingly beautiful and wonderfully made. They can be used in different ways. Similarly, God is one. Ishvara is one. Brahma is one. But expression of Brahma are many. So they are all called vibhutis. So Arjuna wants to listen to all those vibhutis on which he can meditate and recognize that Ishvara. So he says, Bhuyat kathayat triptirhi nasti shrunvato me amrutam. Arjuna says that again you tell me, because you have told me before also, but you tell me again, because I am not, your words are like amruta to me. They are like nectar. And the more I drink, the more I want to drink. I am not satisfied. I feel great joy. I want to listen more and more and more. I am thirsty to listen to your glories more and more. Therefore, you please tell me again. Katha bhuyak kathaya triptirhi shrunvato nasti me mritam. I can keep on listening till eternity. You keep on telling me about your glories. That is Arjuna's bhakti. A bhakta wants to hear Ishvara's mahima, Ishvara's glory. A bhakta never says, oh enough, I am getting tired now. I can't listen to this again. No, a bhakta wants to hear more and more and more. In Ramayana also, Tulsidas ji says about a bhakta who wants to listen to Bhagwan's glories. Jinke shravana samudra samana katha tumhara subhaga sarinana. He says the devotees, their ears are like ocean, and your katha, O Ishvara, your mahima, your kathas are like the rivers which keep on pouring into the ocean. But the ocean never says no, ocean never says enough. Similarly, a devotee never says enough, wants to hear more and more about Bhagwan's glories. That itself is the Shravana Bhakti. In Bhagavad, Bhakta Prahlad talks about 9 types of bhakti. So the first bhakti is Shravana Bhakti, wants to hear with great joy the glories of Ishvara. Here Arjuna addresses Bhagwan as Janardana. Beautiful name, having beautiful meaning. Adi Shankaracharya ji in his Bhashya, he gives the meaning of the name Janardana. He says, Ardhate gati karmano rupam asuranam deva pratipaksha bhutanam jananam narakadi gamayitritvad janardana. Janardana, that jana and ardhana. Ardha, the dhatu is used in the form of taking, leading. So Janardana means Ishvara is one who takes those asuras who are against the devatas. Asuranam deva pratipaksha bhutanam. Those asuras, those bad people who are against all goodness, who are against the devatas, Bhagwan leads them, takes them to Naraka. तो दुष्ट जनों को नरक में ले जाते हैं. Therefore he is called Janardana. That is one meaning. Another meaning is Abhyudaya Nishreyasa Purushartha Prayojanam Sarvaihi Janaihi Yachyate Iti va. He says, that people ask from Ishvara. Ishvara is one from whom all his devotees request, they ask. What do they ask? They ask Abhyuday and Nishreyasa. They ask prosperity and they ask moksha. Many people, they keep on asking for prosperity, for freedom from their sorrows, from pain, asking for some objects of this world, asking for some place in other worlds. So, if any devotees want to ask, they ask Ishvara. And they can ask for moksha also. So, Janardhan means that Ishvara whom devotees ask, they request, and their request get fulfilled. See, we have lot of desires, and in order to fulfill those desires, we have to work. Only when we do the appropriate karma, upasana, jnana, we will be able to fulfill our desires. But we can also fulfill our desires by asking from Ishvara. If you ask the Devatas, they will not give. They will say, "Pehle kaam karo." Then only you will get. But Ishvara, we can ask, and he fulfills our desires. Just like our parents, the children, they need something, they ask, and the kind, devoted parents, they fulfill their desires. Similarly here, Ishvara is one who fulfills the desires of all the beings. But we have to ask sincerely. Mangata tulsidas kar jore, basahi ram siyamanas more. Tulsidas ji also prays the stuti of Ganesh Bhagwan, and he asks that please make Ram and Lakshmana and Sita ji reside in my heart. Basahu Ram Siyaman Samore. So we have to ask. And from whom? From Janardana. So Janardana is Ishvara who fulfills our desires when we ask him. So some people ask for prosperity, some ask for moksha. So here Arjuna is asking Ishvara, Janardana, that please tell me all your vibhutis, Vistarena. So Bhagwan now tells. It's very beautiful. So let us chant verse number 19. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divyayatma Vibhutayah Pradhanyatah Kuru Shrestha Nastyanto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. That Brahma, that Ishvara himself has taken avatar as Krishna. So though he is in the human form, Krishna is Sakshat Bhagwan. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So that Krishna is speaking here. Therefore he said, Shri Bhagavan Vacha. He says, Hantate kathayishyami. When Arjuna requested that please tell me all your vibhutis in detail, vistarena. Bhagwan always wants to fulfill the desires of his devotees. He never says no. He fulfills the wishes of all his devotees. But here what Arjuna was asking was not easy. Not easy means it is even for Ishvara it was not possible to fulfill this desire completely. This desire of Arjuna to listen to all his vibhutis, even Ishvara cannot fulfill it completely. Therefore he says, Hanta. Hanta means alas. Why alas? He says that I will tell you my vibhuti, no doubt. The main vibhutis I will tell, but your request to tell in detail all my vibhutis is not possible. Kurushreshta, hey Kurushreshta, best among Kurus. It is not possible to tell in detail all my vibhutis. Why? He says, Nasti antaha vistarasya me. Because there is no end to my vibhutis. My vibhuti, I am Ananta and my vibhutis are also Ananta. Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. There is no end. Shankaracharya ji writes कि अशेषतः तो वर्षशतेन अपि न शक्या वक्तुम. That if Ishvara wants to tell in detail, then it will take millions of years and still it will not be complete. It is not possible to tell all my vibhutis. But you have requested, so I will tell you pradhanyataha. Few main vibhutis I will tell you. See, it's like even a small place in this world. See, Ishvara is Ananta. But if you, let us say, if you want to talk about your own country, somebody asks you, tell the glories of your own nation. Bharat Mata. What is the glory of Bharat? What are the various vibhutis of Bharat? If one goes to tell, there will not be any end to this also. Physically, geographically also looking at our own country, we have at one place the Himalayas, the mountains are there, the rivers, various types of rivers are there. Going into the ocean, moving towards east or towards west. Some rivers are named, have feminine name, some have masculine name. The waters are different, some move very fast, some move very slow. The colors of these waters of different rivers are different. The forests are there, the deserts area are there. So even if you talk about the land, it is so vast and so variety, one can keep talking about them. The Himalayas are the folded mountains. Even on the peak of the Himalaya, you will find fossils of creatures who live in water, who were living in water in the past. So where the Himalayas are now, In the millions of years ago, there was water there, and sea creatures were living there. Their fossils are found on the Himalayas, which are worshipped as Bhagwan. One of the fossils which we worship is that Shaligrama as Bhagwan's Rupa. If we talk about the various festivals in our country, they are so variety. In east, west, north, south, different types of festivals are there. If we want to talk about the rituals, variety of rituals are there. Marriage itself is held differently in different parts of our country. If you want to talk about the dress, different variety of dress which is worn in our country. If you want to talk about languages, different variety of languages. And the most beautiful language, our Sanskrit language is there, which is so fascinating. And many languages derived from the Sanskrit. If you want to talk about food, you can keep on talking about the variety of food which is made in India. If you want to talk about people, there are so many wonderful people who were there in the past, who are now. The achievements of our country, the various history of our country, you can keep on talking endlessly. So even one country, you cannot tell all its glories. What to talk about Ishvara? He is infinite. How can one tell everything? Bhagavan says, I cannot tell everything. If I keep telling, then we will have to keep talking here only. Therefore, I will tell you the main glories, main vibhutis. So, hantate kathayishyami divya hi atma vibhutayaha. Kathayishyami, I will tell you. Divya vibhutayaha, my divine vibhutis. My expressions. Pradhanyataha, the main ones, I will tell you. Because nasti antaha vistarasya me, there is no end to vistar. If I have to tell you in detail, it will never be concluded. It is endless. So even Bhagwan cannot tell his own glories completely. Even about his Mahima of Bhagwan's name, the scriptures say, the Santa Mahatmas say that even Bhagwan himself cannot tell completely the Mahima of his own name. It is so vast. So Pradhanyataha I will tell. Now Bhagwan tells from the next verse. Now the next verse is very, very, very important and beautiful. So you have to listen to that verse properly, and if possible by heart that verse, and keep contemplating on that verse. Okay? We'll chant that verse, and I will tell you some more secret of that verse. Aham atma gudha kesha sarvabhutashayastitaha aham adishcha madhyancha bhutanamanta evacha. Beautiful verse. Bhagavan says, Hey Gudhakesha, O Arjuna, that aham atma, that I am atma, sarva bhutashaya stitaha, residing in the heart of all beings. I am the atma residing in the heart of all beings. Aham Adishcha, I am the beginning. Madhyancha, I am the middle. And Anta Evacha Bhutanam, an end of all beings, of all that is created. I am the beginning, the middle, and end of everything. I am the Atma, residing in existing in the heart of all beings. It's a very beautiful shloka. Let me tell you first the Mahima of this shloka. See, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi in recent times was one of the greatest enlightened master. He realized that Supreme Self remained in Arunachalam throughout his worldly manifestation, guiding all devotees who came to meet him, see him. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi has composed, written some beautiful texts like Upadesar, Saddarshan. He has also written stutis of Arunachalam, and so many other compositions are there. So people from different parts of the world is to come for guidance to Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi. So one person came and he requested Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi. He said that this Bhagavad Gita is so vast, there are 700 shlokas, difficult to remember all of them. So can you tell me one shloka which conveys the essence of Bhagavad Gita, so that I can learn, I can by heart that shloka and I can contemplate on it continuously. To that devotee, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi told this shloka. Shloka 20 from this 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashayastitaha Aham Adishcha Madhyancha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. So Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi considered this as the very essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita and very important shloka. Later on, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi chose some 42 shlokas, including this, and gave that sar, the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita, in 42 verses. But if you only want to say one verse, then this is the verse. So in this verse, Bhagwan reveals his one important vibhuti, which we can use to meditate, to contemplate, and to realize Ishvara. Arjuna had requested that please tell me what is that bhava, what is that expression of yours on which I can contemplate to know you. And Bhagwan gives this his first expression. And the most subtle is vibhuti, to contemplate. If we can hold on to this vibhuti, then the rest of the vibhutis are not even required. If we are able to contemplate on this vibhuti, then our work is done. And this guidance is given by Bhagwan, and the same guidance was given by Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi also. to all his devotees. So let us contemplate and understand these words properly. Bhagavan says, Aham Atma Gudhakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha. Hey Gudhakesha. Gudhakesha is Arjuna's name. Gudhakesh, the meaning of that name is Gudhaka Nidra Tasya Ishaha Gudhakeshaha Jita Nidra Ityartaha. One meaning of this is that one who is the Lord or Master of Nidra. Gudha means Nidra. Gudhaka. Gudhaka means Nidra, means sleep. Sleep means deep sleep. And one who is the master of deep sleep is called Gudhakesh. Arjuna had this mastery over his own sleep. He could sleep at will and he could wake up. And that is very important for us, for a soldier especially, that he should have that complete mastery over his sleep. ऐसा नहीं कि घोड़े बेच के सो गया, unaware of what is happening around. Though he is asleep, he is also alert. Anytime he can wake up and is again active. And anytime he can go to sleep and take rest. Total control over his sleep. Even they say in history, they say about Napoleon Bonaparte, he also had great mastery over his sleep. He could sleep on his horse also when he was on his horseback. He could just go to sleep for 1 or 2 minutes and then get up very fresh and continue on his journey. So Gudhakesha, very beautiful name, is taken here because what Bhagavan is revealing in this shloka, we can understand if we also gain that mastery over our sleep. Not only mastery over our sleep is one thing, another is to understand our sleep properly. One who understands one's own deep sleep will be able to understand the meaning of the term Atma. Here Bhagavan is saying that, oh Arjuna, I am Atma. You meditate on me as Atma. Atma, that word has become so common, people don't understand its real meaning, but it's very common. It is used for everything except what it is really meant for. So what is this Atma? And where is it? Bhagavan says, Sarva Bhuta Ashayastitaha. That Atma is residing, I am residing as Atma in all beings, in the heart of all beings, in the Antakarana of all beings. I reside in the heart of all beings. Not only human beings, but animal, bird, plant, devatas. Their very heart, their very core. I am that Atma. See, let us understand this. See that Atma is present in the waking, when we are awake. In our waking state also, Atma is present. In our dream also Atma is present. In deep sleep also Atma is present. In the waking, I experience that Atma within. It is experienced as I. I say I am. That Atma itself is experienced as I. Or that Atma is indicated in the waking as I. See, I is the name given to that Atma. Atma by itself doesn't have any name. The scriptures, the Shastras have given the name Atma. So in the waking, I experience myself, but exactly who am I don't know. I only know that I am seeing this world, I am experiencing this world. I know that I am performing actions with the help of my body. I know that I gain knowledge through my senses, through my mind, intellect. But who is this I who is gaining that knowledge? Who is this I who is performing action? Who is this I who is enjoying the joys and sorrows? I don't know. Then when I go to sleep and dream, I experience the dream. I become the seer of the dream. Then even when the dream comes to an end, when I go into deep sleep, when there is that deep sleep, in deep sleep, the mind along with the senses don't function. The mind along with the senses remain stagnant, remain inactive, remain in one of the nadis, Hita Nama Nadi. The body, I am unaware of the body, physical body. The physical body remains alive. It is kept alive by the pranas. The indriyas and the mind is not active. But I am present in deep sleep. Without the body, without the mind, I am present in the deep sleep. So what do I do there in deep sleep? I don't do any activity. I am not a doer there. I am not doing anything. I am neither doing nor am I not doing. There is no doership in deep sleep. Oh, you must be knowing. No. I am neither knowing nor am I not knowing. Listen to this carefully. I am neither knowing anything in deep sleep nor am I not knowing anything in deep sleep. Means there is no activity of knowing happening in deep sleep. There is no nyatratva in deep sleep. There is no knowership in deep sleep. Again, I am neither enjoying nor not enjoying in deep sleep. There is no bhoktrutva in deep sleep. I am neither enjoying something nor am I not enjoying. Means there is no activity of enjoyment happening in deep sleep. There is no activity of knowing happening in deep sleep. There is no activity of doing happening in deep sleep. I am neither the karta, bhokta nor jnata, but I am present in deep sleep. That I who is present in deep sleep, that which is present in deep sleep, different from the physical body, different from the subtle body, that entity which is present in deep sleep is called Atma. That entity which is present in deep sleep, different from the physical body and the subtle body, is called Atma by the Shastras, and it is also called I by me. It doesn't have any name, but when I wake up, I refer to that as I. I said I slept. Atma doesn't sleep. Mind sleeps. Intellect sleeps. Ego sleeps. Atma doesn't sleep. But identified with this mind and all, when they are not functioning, I say I slept. When they are active, I say I am dreaming. When the body is also active, I say I am awake. But Atma doesn't sleep, Atma doesn't dream, Atma is not awake, Atma is all the time same. That which is present, that entity which is present in the deep sleep, free from the gross body and subtle body, that entity is called Atma. That is present not only in deep sleep, it is present in the waking, and it is present in the dream also. So that entity is called Atma, and that entity is Ishvara alone, and we have to meditate on that entity. This is very subtle, very deep. If you understand, very good. So that is that Atma, which when I wake up, when I refer to that deep sleep, I say, oh, I slept happily. But when I say I slept happily, I am referring to the mind and intellect, because I am identified with mind and intellect. I say I didn't do anything because I was identified with the gross body, and when it is active, I say I am doing something. But that Atma is neither the doer, nor knower, nor enjoyer. That Atma is Ishvara. That Atma is of the nature of Ishvara. That Atma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That Atma is Satchid Ananda Anantam. Sat means that Atma never changes. Chit means it is of the nature of knowledge. Ananta means it is infinite. Ananda means it is of the nature of Ananda, happiness. Again, let us think about it. See, we have taught before also, but one should think about this only again and again and understand it properly. It is not very easy to grasp it, but one has to keep on contemplating on it. This Atma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Satyam means it doesn't change. So let us now just focus on Satyam. See, when we are awake, we experience the world. And that world is constantly changing. So it is called Asatyam, means changing existence. Then when I look at this body, which is also part of the world, is constantly changing. So this body is also asatyam. Then I look at my own indriyas, they are also constantly changing. Then I look at my antakarana, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, they also constantly change. But very interesting, even when all these are changing, there is something within which doesn't change. There is something within which is aware of these changes, but it itself doesn't change. There is something within which is the witness of all these changes, but it doesn't change. That witness within is called Atma. Doesn't have any name, doesn't have any form, doesn't have any color, doesn't have any other qualities. The only thing we can talk about it is that it is not changing. It is there. It was there when I was in the childhood. It is there now. It is present in the waking, dream, deep sleep. It's constantly present. The life and death doesn't create any change in that Atma. When I'm alive, it is there. When I'm dead, it is there. So it is Satyam. That Atma is also Jnanam. See, when we experience this world, we gain knowledge of this world. Through our senses, we gain knowledge of the world. Through the mind, we gain knowledge of the world. Through our intellect, we gain knowledge of the world. So that knowledge is called Jnana. But all the knowledge which we gain are conditioned by the object about which we know. So I say, I know the tree, I know the rock, I know the table, I know the book. So I have book knowledge, table knowledge, rock knowledge, tree knowledge. But what is common in all of them? Knowledge. What is uncommon? Those are the objects. So that knowledge which is common everywhere, that knowledge which is same in all the knowledge of the world, that knowledge per se is the Lakshana of Atma. That knowledge, Nirvishesha knowledge it is called in Sanskrit, means objectless knowledge, general knowledge, unconditional knowledge. That unconditional knowledge is that Atma. So Atma is Satyam, Jnanam, and Atma is Anantam, not limited by time, space and object. When I experience, when I remain as Atma alone, without any identification, in deep sleep, am I limited by time? There is no experience of time. There is no presence of time. Am I limited by space? There is no limitation of space. Am I limited by any object? There is no limitation of any object. So that Atma, that entity which is called Atma, is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. These are the Lakshanas of Brahma. So that Atma is Brahma, and that Atma is my real nature, and that Atma is the Vibhuti of Bhagwan expressing in this body. Though Atma is all pervading, it expresses, it can be found in this body, deep into our heart, as pure existence, consciousness, bliss, as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So this is Bhagwan's Vibhuti, and one has to pay attention and meditate on this Vibhuti. If this can be done, then we don't require any other Vibhuti to meditate upon. Shankaracharya ji writes कि सर्वेषां भूतानां आशये अंतर्हृदय स्थितः नित्यं ध्येयः. This should be constantly meditated upon. One should constantly meditate upon Atma. See, we have seen in the 6th chapter also. There also I was telling you this is called the Pratyagatma, the inner self. It is also called Kshetrajna. It is also called Purusha. One has to locate this Atma and meditate on this Atma. Shankaracharya ji write कि तद अशक्तेन च उत्तरेषु भावेषु चिन्त्यः. If one is unable to meditate on this Atma, then you can meditate on other vibhutis which are mentioned further, till we become fit to meditate on Atma. Ultimately, we have to meditate on Atma. शनैः शनैरुपरमेत् बुद्ध्या धृति गृहीतया आत्मसंस्थं मनः कृत्वा न किंचिदपि चिन्तयेत्. Shifting all our attention from everything, one should meditate on this Atma. If we are unable to do that, then we can take help of other vibhutis. So please contemplate on this. Even if you think you have understood, contemplate again. It's very tricky, very difficult to grasp, very subtle. So don't assume that you have understood. Contemplate again and comprehend it properly. More about this this verse is not yet complete, so more about this we will see in our class tomorrow. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana, and contemplate on this verse. First, actually, before contemplation, by heart this verse. Chant this verse again and again and again till you can chant it without looking. First, keep on chanting, reading from the book. Then close your eyes and chant till you can chant it without mistake and without looking. Then thereafter contemplate on that Atma, locate that Atma. Understand, because the whole purpose of all our scriptures, shastras and everything is finally to gain that Atma Jnana, gain the knowledge of Atma. Even Brahma and all are all secondary actually. Brahma is also indicated to tell us that Brahma is our own self. We have to ultimately understand ourself. Brahma is indicated to show that this Atma is Brahma. I am Atma, Brahma. So, contemplate, think, and we will meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 श्री राम जय जय राम, 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 जय जय राम। बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय।